Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about the GOP introducing legislation to get rid of the Department of Education. As an aside real quick, I got a message from somebody overseas asking why the Republican Party is abbreviated as GOP. It stands for Grand Ole Party, a term from the 1870s when the party was actually the more liberal party in the U.S. Okay, back to the topic. It looks like there will be competing bills from Republicans trying to get rid of the Department of Education. They vary in approach and how they plan on going about it. You have the promised one from Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie. He says it'll be a one-sentence bill. Quote, "The Department of Education shall terminate on December 31, 2026. Hope you weren't counting on financial aid or funding for your schools. That's one extreme. The other is a bill that seems to just get rid of the Department of Education in name only. I haven't gone through the bill line by line yet, but the nonpartisan Congressional Research Service summary seems to indicate that the program would be shifted to the Department of Labor or DOD or Health and Human Services or Treasury. That one is called the Returning Education Back to Our States Act. It honestly looks like it would create a giant maze of education-related bureaucracy in other departments. But it doesn't, at least from an early look, seem like anything appropriated is getting cut. So, the legislation ranges from the devastating to the seemingly pointless. People who understand what the Education Department does often wonder why conservatives want to cut it. A lot of rank-and-file Republicans believe that the Federal Department of Education is responsible for the curriculum they don't like or test scores or whatever. The policies governing what they're complaining about are always things set at the state or local level. Most times, the bad outcomes come from a lack of proper funding, a problem that will get worse if the Federal Department of Education is just axed. Why do you think states vary so much in policies and outcomes? The only way I've found to explain this to people is to compare it to the relationship between the local sheriff and the FBI. Sure, same jobs kind of, but the sheriff doesn't actually take orders from the FBI. Sometimes this helps people understand the actual relationship. Despite many people saying this wasn't going to be an issue and that Republicans really didn't want to do this, the legislation is being introduced. One thing worth acknowledging is that it will probably be difficult for Republicans to actually push the legislation through. That's especially true if the filibuster remains intact. The one thing that we can do now is try to educate people on who actually makes the decisions about schools in their local area and where the funding comes from. There are a lot of schools that get federal funding. If that funding was to disappear, the schools will have to make up the funding somewhere, and that probably means more local taxes. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.